The first day of Advent is the first day of the new church calendar, and it marks the first day of 4 weeks of the preparation for the birth of Jesus. The word Advent is from Latin, and it means arrival or presence or the coming of, and it's a time for us to prepare for that. How can you prepare your mind and your heart for the arrival of our Lord? And in my way of thinking, as we do this every single year, we know that the Lord isn't coming back right now, although if you ask my daughter, she's convinced with what's going on with Euphrates River, she's convinced. But we can prepare ourselves for the most holiest of days for Christians. And we can get back to, as my mom used to have everywhere on signs and written down, Jesus is the reason for the season. I get caught up in, just like everybody else, the magic of Christmas and wanting it to be spectacular for the children and gifting and memories. And I can sometimes not spend an equal or even greater amount of time on preparing my mind and heart for what this day actually means. And that's part of what I want to do in this Advent series, is give you some journal prompts that can help you take the things that we think about over the holiday season and really get our minds back to the Lord in those. So, how can we prepare our hearts and our homes for the arrival of Christ in the world today? So if he were to come today, if the baby was to be born today, it's a whole different world. How can we prepare ourselves? And we prepare our homes great. We're putting up the trees and things like that, and we decorate. But what are you decorating with? Do you have more secular than you do Christian? Do you have more Christian than you do secular? I have a ton of Advent calendars, and yes, there's a star at the top of the tree, but it's kind of leaning. There's also, on every single one of my trees, there is an angel, and usually multiple angels. How do your Christmas cards look? Do they say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays because you want to be very, PC? Or do they say Merry Christmas or faith, love, and family like mine usually do? How can we put more of what this season is about back into the season of Advent? When you think about Advent, every time you open up an Advent calendar, I love Advent calendars. And they usually have nothing to do with Jesus, really, the ones that I have, but I think they're super fun. But how can you put that back into preparing ourselves for the arrival of the baby? Great verses to spend some time in. I always say fall into the word of the Lord. You can find the birth of Jesus and the whole story behind it, and we're going to use some of them in this series. But you can read the entire thing in Matthew 1 and 2 and Luke 1 and 2. So spend some time in all 4 of those chapters, Matthew 1 and 2 and Luke 1 and 2. I find myself getting lost in them because I look for all the little nuances and the extras that I maybe missed and read them in different versions. So if you love a King James, do an NIV, do a CSB, do an NLT, do it in the Message version, do it in the Passion, so you can hear a little bit more. But I want you to journal today about how you can prepare your heart and your home for the arrival of the baby, how you can prepare your heart and your home for the arrival of our Lord. And think about it in today's terms. What would need to change in your home and in your heart to make way for Jesus? And I know that can be a little scary to think about, and you can be a little bit full of shame. Don't be full of shame. The Lord loves you, and there is absolutely no shame. But you need to prepare your heart and your home because he's coming, and it's a great thing.